you can go out and you can go as far as you want to go, money wise, or to get whatever you want for riding.
Right.
From head to foot, shoes, helmets. The safety aspect, though, you start with this. This is important. Don't go riding any kind of bike without a helmet. You have to have a helmet. It's just the smart thing to do, because if you don't and you fall, then you won't be so smart anymore because you'll hit your head. So get a good helmet. Don't skimp on helmet. The rest of it, you can go as far as you want.
I
If
have
you
a
want to
question.
go,
Sir, Professor, the other thing, not really a question, a statement before I forget, basically, is what this is. I'm trying to save myself here on this. Helmet. We didn't talk about mirrors because we were talking about safety. It's part of your kit, part of your gear, just like your gloves and your glasses, super important. And our hearing isn't what it used to be, and I don't care who you are. Another reason not to put earbuds in.
yeah.
Hearing cars, and with the advent of all these electric cars, we get run over by an electric car. And you're saying, well, I just ride on the path. I don't need a mirror. You do need a mirror. You do need a mirror.
They can attach to your helmet or your handlebar.
You can do a helmet mirror attached to a mirror, and you can adjust it. I know that a rider, walker, people are coming up beside me. Maybe they're not going to say passing on the left. I know they're there. The mirror will help you either on your helmet or on your, what they call a bar hand mirror. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can see that one.
I have one right there. So I can ride and I can see what's going on, what's coming up on my left side behind me. I feel naked without it.
Yeah.
I feel unsafe.
I had one
feel
that attached to my helmet.
I'm not responsible if I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
But I'm I think about all these things. I even have a little whistle that I carry in my bike jersey. And some people have a little dingy bell like we did when we were kids, not like a Ruga, but a little bell, and they'll put it on their handlebars.
Yeah.
A little bell, whatever the frequency of the bell is, like you see a dog or something. That's another thing. If you see something, say something when you're riding too.
So on accessories, you want to concentrate first when you're just getting started on the safety, like the helmet, that part of it. Don't skimp on the helmet. Gloves from a comfort and the sweatiness when riding. There's all kinds of clothing. You don't have to have the skin-tight clothing, even though it's extremely comfortable. It's not something you have to do if you're not comfortable with it. Talk to your salesperson at the bike shop, and they'll explain how it works and the benefits of it. The shoes and water bottles, having hydration with you, it's all very important and fun, and it makes the experience very enjoyable. Now, the health aspect for you personally, and what you've noticed, because you've met a lot of people riding, the health aspect of riding a bike. We mentioned kind of the non-impact on the joints. That's key for a lot of people who are just getting started and don't really know what direction to go.
Right.
How can this help them?
Well, the upside, I don't see a downside as it relates to any kind of physical activity, as long as you don't overdo it, certainly with bicycling. The upsides are just endless, but the health aspect is, we all go to our doctors, and we should, but in terms of cycling specific, helps your balance. It's low impact, but it also can build some bone density. The only time it doesn't is if you overdo it and you're depleting bone makeup. But it can actually, it builds muscle.
Yeah.
The cardiovascular, lung, heart, circulation, it puts out your serotonin, the happy hormone. You feel better. It increases your mood. You're going to probably have a happy day. It allows you to relax. It allows you to maybe think about things a little differently. You're getting all kinds of stimulus when you ride. So mentally, there's a lot going on in biking. People think, oh my gosh, going out and riding my bike, how boring is that? Are you kidding me? There is something going on all the time. The weather, the wind, the leaves, the critters, the birds, the people, the beautiful flowers. Just constantly you're inundated with some kind of stimulus. And it allows you also to think. It's also almost can be kind of meditative. You're out just enjoying yourself. You want to see that ride by the local lake or the river, you know.
I work out a lot of problems while riding sometimes. You
feel
get
better
yourself,
by the time you come. By the time you come in,
you kind of you motivate yourself to get out there, but you meditate once you're out there, and you just kind of work through your issues.
You truly do, and you don't have to ride a zillion miles. You know, you ride a few miles. That's it. Well,
Yeah.
okay, guess what? This is the trick in biking. You go out 2 miles. Hey, you got to ride back 2 miles. That's 4 miles. Well, maybe the next day you build up a little bit.
Yeah,
You go out 5 miles.
yeah,
Man, I got to ride back.
yeah,
Unless you want to call for a ride. You know.
yeah.
That's 10 miles. Suddenly, all of a sudden, you're like, oh my gosh, I went out and rode 20 miles. I didn't think I could do that.
Because I don't do the
You know.
miles you do. I do nowhere near, but I like to go out. I do 10 to 20 miles.
And that's all you really need.
And
So-
that I'm happy. I don't wear all the gear you have except for the safety gear, which is absolutely important. But you go out and do 30, 50 or more, 100. You've done the centuries, as they call it.
I've done all kinds of riding, and you know, and another thing about riding and the health aspect of riding, I've learned from other more experienced riders than me, and they kind of showed me the ropes and all the little things, and I'll never, you know, I appreciate those folks in my life, and some of them are still in my life to this day. You learn something constantly. And the community and the social aspects of biking are above and beyond. I like to ride solo as well, but I also love to ride in groups, and I like to be part of things as well. It's very dynamic. It gives you a little bit of everything. Whether you're a rider or a non-rider, and it's been proven that social interaction, you know, loneliness and just being by yourself all the time is not a good
Not
idea.
a good thing.
You know, I like my private time. Certainly, I like to read, do this, do that. But when you're out biking, I was biking yesterday, for example. You talk about the health aspect of biking, the physical aspects. Your numbers will probably come down. I know a biker who manages, and this guy, he's a character, you got to know him, but he manages diabetes just from biking. He actually told his doctor to go jump in a lake, which probably wasn't the best. But
Probably not the best.
You got to know
thing
the
to do.
guy. And if you don't do this and whatnot, I'm not recommending this, but I'm just saying you meet all kinds of people. But it's because of biking, and he's able to monitor with new technology and see where his sugar is and throughout his ride and whatnot. He does all this with you. Biking is very healthy,
Yeah.
mentally, physically, spiritually. If you're a spiritual person, you sleep better at night. You have more energy. You're activating all those body systems. You're probably kicking out more serotonin, the happy hormone. You know, you're depressed and all this, and you know your body chemistry changes. You can change through lifestyle, and you know you probably maybe think about health differently too on your bike.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I shouldn't have that, donut. But then you may also say, "Hey, I rode my bike. I'm definitely going to have
I'm
two
gonna
extra
have that
donuts."
too, donut.
You know, so kind of the trick on biking for us people who live in the four seasons,
Yeah.
you ride a little more in the summertime or maybe spring, you know, but then when the winter comes, it's like whether you ride or not, your metabolism is kicked up when you ride a bike. You actually are burning more calories 24 hours a day when you do exercise and biking. So half hour, you don't need a lot.
Yeah.
But it just tweaks so it makes you feel better about yourself overall.
When I get done with a ride, not only do I mentally feel better, but physically, I actually, my body feels better. I feel a little bit more relaxed, but I feel stronger. And I pay attention to how I walk then. After I stand up straighter, I've worked
Depends
out
on how
the
far
body.
you've ridden.
Yeah, and that's after 2 miles. You can only imagine if I go 4.
Some days I cannot. I've ridden too far or whatever. Something happens, you know, and I had the opportunity, blessing to ride long distance, and I don't try to take my bike downstairs
Until you're really,
until my legs recover a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
drop my bike. Another thing about bike storage: don't put them outside, folks.
no,
In
don't
your
do that.
garage or
Well, number one, they'll walk.
in your basement.
Yeah,
They could, yeah. And sometimes people will buy bike locks, and because they're little, if you stop at a local cafe, you can get a little small little bike lock. I've never had an issue. It's funny, we go on these bike rides, we see people from all over the country and whatnot. People from the big cities, they all have bike locks.
yeah, yeah.
People
From the country,
or the country or maybe suburbs or little safer areas, they're like, I don't.
yeah,
They just
Yeah.
don't lock their bike.
yeah.
But the health aspect of biking is why I do it. I turned about 40. I'm not telling you how well. You already know how many years ago. Over a quarter century ago. And our daughter came up to us once after school or whatnot. Came home and she looked at me and she goes, "Dad, you kind of almost like grabbed my belt and said, Dad, your pants are getting a little tight. That really bothered me.
Yeah,
That really bothered me. And I knew because I'm an old wrestler guy and I was in the military at one time and all this kind of stuff. So I'm always kind of physically active, but that kind of bothered me. So you're talking about how to get back into biking. We're talking about folks our age now who haven't done it and want to get back into biking, whatever. Well, my moment came when I was about 40. I was like, oh my gosh, she's probably right. Well, with a bad ankle, knee, and things like that, not a lot of time, running a business. What do? I told my wife, she's right. I need to do something. I wasn't out of control.
yeah. You
but,
were never
but it was just
out of control ever.
It was noticeable enough, and it bothered me. And so what I did, long story longer, short, I said, I'm going to join the gym, and I'm going to try a little spinning.
Yeah, I think I remember you telling me that.
And I had a bike because I had a knee operation, rebuilt a long time before that, and it had a little cheap boy bike, under $100 that I used at home and whatnot after my rehab and whatnot. So I started doing just indoor cycling. I did not have a lot of time. During COVID, everybody went out and they bought these Peloton bikes and this bike
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that. Maybe spent a lot of money now. Peloton, their market share has gone down. It's a whole other story, but you can find a pretty good used stationary bike, or you can have a regular bike and you can put it in a trainer.
Yeah, I have that at home. You
For
just
the
connect
winter
the
time,
back wheel in. Yeah,
Put on your favorite movie.
yeah.
I mean, you like to cry. You probably watch Hallmark movies, right?
I'm a what do they call it, a rom-com kind of guy.
That's why I'm not. Hey, a good movie and popcorn. Now you're gonna. No, we don't cry.
I have it right near the TV in the basement.
It can be motivating. You're right. You can do some kind of motivational whatnot. Some people don't want to watch a bike race. Some people want to watch a movie. Some people want to watch the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah,
The weather's terrible outside, so you can't.
technology
ride.
allows us to do all
Oh,
those things. these days.
it's fantastic. There's
Yeah.
all kinds of programs and whatnot, but so I'm getting excited about biking here again. So
Yeah.
the health aspects are. So I started out that way, and then I went to the local gym and I started doing some spinning classes. Like, hey, this is pretty fun. This is fun. This is fun. A couple that was in one of my spinning classes. They don't live too far away from us. I'll say their names, Dave and Kathy. All of a sudden, I'm talking to Dave. He goes, "Hey, you ride outside much?" I said, "Well, I really don't have time." Well, you should come to ride with us and whatnot. And I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, And so they really showed me the road because he's an old racer guy and everything. So I kind of started out hitting the pavement. I went from 0 to 100 really fast. You don't have to do that. But I was gradually prepared because I took some initiative by starting out slowly on that stationary bike, getting
Yeah.
some spin classes, learning about clipping in and out. So by the time it was time for me to really go out and start to ride,
You were ready.
I was sort of ready.
Yeah.
And then it was just associating yourself with the right people. But almost everybody that I know, unless they have to do it, or they're being punished, is riding because they enjoy it and they want to be healthy.
And they want to be healthy.
I have a brother who's a funeral director, and he goes, "You're going to die healthy." And I said, "That is my goal."
That's your goal.
"What do you do this for?" "You're going to die healthy."
You're going to die healthy.
All right, Doug, you're right. And So anyway, the health aspects,
Yeah.
above and beyond, being responsible for your health is really a good thing. You'll appreciate it, your partners will appreciate it, your spouse, your family, your friends. It's a great thing, and you can do it with others.
Yeah.
And you don't have to just do it by yourself. That's
Right.
the nice, beautiful thing about
Right.
cycling.
But you can, but you don't have to.
Sometimes you don't want to talk to anybody, and I get that.
You want to go and be your own
and
little...
you might need that.
Yeah, you might need it.
When
yeah.
I rode yesterday real quick because we had to go to a hockey game later, and so I only had enough time, so I got 21 miles in. It was great, and so I went out on the bike path. Well, I saw a guy who's getting ready to retire, a little younger than us, and a gal that I hadn't met. I said, "Hey, James," his name was James, and how you doing? Hey, pretty good. This is Valerie. I met her on the bike path, and she's been helping me out on riding. He just met this gal. I said, at first I thought it was his wife. It was just another gal friend. They worked together. And so I talked to them a little bit. I said, well, I'm kind of in a hurry. I got to go and whatnot. So I rode up the bike path a little further, and a guy had a bike jersey on, Ragbri. It's a big ride that they ride across to Iowa every year. It's just a big, huge rolling party. And I said, hey, what year is that from? Here you go, the social aspect of biking.
Yeah.
So I rode with Russ, who was 10 years older than me. He's still a pretty good rider. He was just tooling right along. So we rode about 6 miles on the bike path to the end of the bike path and back. Never met this guy in my life. And we just enjoyed, had a nice little conversation. It kind of helped him because it was a little windy, and it kind of helped me too. And our pace really didn't drop. We just kind of chatted a little bit, and we're far enough apart, wanted to do it safely. And so that was just in a little 21-mile ride.
Yeah.
I had social interaction, but I still got my workout in. And
But it probably flew by.
yeah, and I met a new guy
Yeah.
there.
Right.
And so he lives around here. And then I once on a bike ride had a guy, I'll give you the shirt off my back. Have you ever had anybody say that? Or I would give you the shirt off my back? It happened.
Literally?
It literally happened. I have a bike, it's called Gunner Bike, and it's Waterford, Wisconsin. And Richard Schwinn, the Schwinn Company, when they sold Schwinn out to Pacifica, he went up to Waterford, Wisconsin, and started this bike shop. Anyway, I bought a bike from them. It's called a Gunner. It was named after the brown lab, the dog, their dog. It's called a Gunner Bike, and I still have it. Steel bike, steel is real. And it said Gunner on it. At the end of my bike ride, this guy comes up. He has a Gunner with the dog, the brown lab with the tongue hanging out. The dog's in the background here, by the way. And so he saw my bike. He goes, I got to give you my jersey. I'm like, what? This guy was a sweaty mess. I found out about this guy a little later on. His nickname was actually Crazy George. He gave me his sweaty, gross Gunner jersey, that brown lab
Yeah.
jersey, because it matched my Gunner bike.
That's your bike.
And George's the bigger guy, so it didn't quite fit me. But I wore it for a couple, 2-3 years. I actually gave it to a buddy of mine. I said,
Yeah.
look, man, you got better girth than I do. This will fit you. So he's running around. So just some fun bike stories. You get out biking, and you're going to meet different people. You're going to feel
Those
better
stories are going to add up.
better about yourself. You're going to
Yeah.
feel healthier. You're going to enjoy it. Another thing about biking too, keep a log. I keep a bike log. I can go back years, decades.
Loki's not enjoying it too much right now.
No.
He's starting to tell us we're talking too
But a
well.
bike log, Jim and I here, we did a bike ride to Indian Lake years ago when we were kids.
Yeah, long time ago.
And you remember the old Cowsill song, Indian Lake, the place you want to be? In summer, there's an old song by the Cowsills, Indian Lake. So I rode this little bike here, my Schwinn, and he had a Schwinn College Gate. Or
Schwinn
Varsity.
Traveler.
That was the blue Traveler?
Yeah, the Schwinn Traveler.
And we rode to Indian Lake. It got the worst sunburn of my life, by
Yeah.
the way. But, so we rode 30 miles or 35 miles one way and the other way.
Yep.
And we had no training in it. We were just young kids. We must have been, what, 8th
I'm not so
grade?
sure we even told our parents.
Well, we weren't supposed to do it, but we did it. And,
As long as we were home for dinner, we were good.
Yeah, I couldn't make it to the guitar lesson that day, though, because I was so sunburned. But it's a great memory. The point is, so you keep your bike log. That's a memory you don't forget. Say
Yeah.
that was an epic
Yeah.
bike. You have these epic rides, and all this, or you go out on a ride. You don't feel that great when you start, and all of a sudden something wonderful happens.
Yeah.
And you're like,
That's what
oh my
you want,
gosh.
and that's what will happen.
You're riding on a road out there, you're doing something, oh, there's a turtle. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to stop and rescue the turtle. Oh, it becomes the turtle ride. Well, you write that down in your log.
Yeah,
And you have these memories. And you meet a lot of different people. You learn a lot. I learn things all the time biking. You learn to listen. You learn to share. You learn things about yourself that you didn't know. And I can honestly say I've never regretted ever getting on the bike and turning the pedal.
yeah,
And I enjoy doing other things too. You know,
Yeah, of
kayaking.
course.
What you know, women don't find you handsome; they should find you handy. I like doing home improvements.
that's a good one.
Red green.
Everyone hear that? That needs repeating.
If women don't find you handsome, they should find you handy.
This has been a great discussion I've had today with Tom. We've sat out in his backyard with my dog barking in the background and just had a great discussion about bikes. We just hope that you take a look at biking from the health aspect to the enjoyment, socialization, and just having fun. Biking can be an amazing thing to do. I don't care how old you are, how many years it's been since you've ridden. It's an option that you should investigate. Thanks again.